6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The Minister of Finance instructs officials to expedite solutions for the people intending to go for overseas employment. A 5-year plan is scheduled to be implemented to uplift the tourism industry. School children will be vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine from next week. The forthcoming budget aims for a production-based economy, Minister assures. All retail liquor shops are closed due to the quarantine curfew, Exercise Department says. Foreign news, the UN condemns the Taliban for their increasingly violent response to the opposition. Sports, Sri Lanka Cricket has announced the squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Local news in detail now. The Minister of Finance, Basil Rajapaksa, has instructed officials to expedite solutions for the people who are intending to go for overseas employment. There is a better demand for the Sri Lankans in the overseas job market, and it is the duty of the government to provide a helping hand for the people who are interested in going for overseas occupation, the minister said. It is reported that there is lack of aircraft seating facilities today due to travel limitations. Minister added officials to take immediate measures to meet the issue by dealing with the Sri Lankan airlines and other service providers, saying that the foreign employers are doing a major task to uplift the Sri Lankan economy. Tourism Minister Prasanna Rantunga says a 5-year plan is scheduled to be implemented to uplift the tourism industry, which was badly affected by the pandemic. Minister said with the COVID epidemic, every country had taken steps to suspend plans to boost tourism. These countries are currently working to boost the tourism industry in line with health guidance. Minister Rantunga made these remarks at a conference with the travel organisation held at the Hilton Hotel, Ukraine. Minister also commended the service of the travel organisers for the duty rendered to promote tourism in Sri Lanka in the recent past. Journalists, the representatives of the tourism organisations and the representatives of the Sri Lanka Tourism Organisation were also present at the conference. According to the ministry, Russia and Ukraine are among the top 10 countries with the highest number of tourist arrivals in the recent times. Children with special needs will be vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine from next week in Sri Lanka. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana says that COVID-19 vaccination for children over 12 years of age is planned to be carried out in 3 phases. Accordingly, children with chronic diseases will be vaccinated under the first phase, and in the second phase, vaccine will be given to A-level and O-level students. In the third stage, the vaccine will be given to the rest of the children, especially those over 12 years of age. Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella last week said that the government is considering to vaccinate nearly 2 million school children promptly. Meanwhile, the technical committee appointed to look into the possibility of starting schools has made recommendations that schools with less than 200 children could start in October. The committee met yesterday under the chairmanship of the Director General of Health Services. Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa says the forthcoming budget aims for a production-based economy. He says it will especially benefit the underprivileged masses in the society. He added, after the completion of the government's vaccination drive successfully, the government will achieve the key targets set out in the budget and offer benefits to the common masses. In the budget, a program will be formulated to use the land and resources as efficiently as possible. He also said that the salaries of public servants or retirees would be paid without any cuts, despite the difficulties faced by the economy in the face of the COVID pandemic. In line with the President's Vistas of Prosperity and Splendour policy, the government has also decided to continue all development activities. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa disclosed this at a meeting with the state media chiefs at the Finance Ministry. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
The Commissioner General of Excise has ruled to close all retail liquor shops island-wide due to the quarantine curfew. However, shops with the Tourist Board approval can continue with their sales to facilitate overseas travellers. Commissioner General of Excise said it is banned to open other liquor shops during the lockdown period. He added that soon after the quarantine curfew ends, all the liquor shops can be opened adhering to the health protocols imposed by the Ministry of Health. Parliamentarian Professor Charitha Herath says only the students learning in the government schools are suffering from the teacher-principal trade union actions. Students enrolled in international schools are continuing their education, and the teachers of those schools are continuing their tutoring online, and they do their virtual evaluations too. He added it is practiced in the semi-government schools too. Notably, teachers in the northern and eastern provinces have also completed their syllabuses. Speaking to the SLBC this evening, Parliamentarian Professor Charitha Herath also said the trade union actions are based on mere political agenda backed by the UNP. He added the government is formulating a proper education policy, consulting intellectuals in every field. He said both the curriculum and the teacher training should be amended in line with the current global demand, for which the government is ready and dedicated, he added. And that ends local news for now.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The Minister of Finance, Basil Rajapaksa, has instructed officials to expedite solutions for the people who are intended to go for overseas employment. There's a better demand for the Sri Lankans in the overseas job market, and it is the duty of the government to provide a helping hand for the people who are interested in going for overseas employment, the minister said. It is reported that there is lack of aircraft seating facilities today due to travel limitations. And that was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watch Light.
State Minister Dr. Sudashini Fernandopulle says COVID-19 has increased the likelihood of children accessing the internet. The most serious of facts is that some groups are subtly attempting to sexually and emotionally abuse children. State Minister added that it could damage their future badly. The State Minister also said the responsibility of protecting children from the child abusers is the responsibility of the whole society and not only the family. Therefore, the unconditional fight against child abusers and the need to enforce the law against them should be strengthened. And that came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
The headlines: the UN condemns the Taliban for their increasingly violent response to the opposition. Denmark becomes one of the first countries in the European Union to ease all of the COVID-19 domestic restrictions. A report reveals an estimated 39.5 million Americans are living below the poverty line. World news in detail now. The UN has condemned the Taliban for their increasingly violent response to the opposition. Taliban fighters killed 4 people during recent protests, the UN said. Demonstrations have taken place across Afghanistan since the fall of Kabul on 15th of August, demanding respect for women's rights and greater freedom. The UN said in a report Taliban fighters have used batons, whips and live ammunition against protesters, especially women. A spokeswoman for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights informed the Taliban to immediately cease the use of force towards those exercising their right to peaceful assembly and the journalists covering the protests. Denmark becomes one of the first countries in the European Union to ease all of the domestic restrictions that were put in place to control the spread of COVID-19. The government lifted the country's remaining restrictions, including the requirement that people show proof of vaccination through a vaccine passport to enter nightclubs. Denmark's health ministry said high vaccine uptake has allowed the country to roll back the pandemic control measures. Danish health minister announced the country will not extend its COVID restrictions after the 8th, as the pandemic is almost controlled. An estimated 39.5 million Americans are living below the poverty line. Using data from the U.S. Census Bureau, an analyzed report said living in poverty can have serious consequences and impact nearly every aspect of life. Residents of poor neighborhoods often struggle with higher crime rates, limited employment opportunities, lower school quality, and worse health outcomes. For those living on poverty-level income, each of these factors can reduce the likelihood of upward economic mobility. Lack of economic opportunities in cities across the United States makes it more difficult for many residents to pull themselves out of poverty. And back to the headlines of the world news. The UN condemns the Taliban for their increasingly violent response to the opposition. Denmark becomes one of the first countries in the European Union to ease all of the COVID-19 domestic restrictions. A report reveals an estimated 39.5 million Americans are living below the poverty line. And that ends World News. Development news. The Valikada Prison Chapel Ward and Prison Headquarters building will be renovated as luxury hotels. The Valikada Prison inmates will be moved to a land in Millava Horana. The estimated cost of the project is 30 billion rupees. State Minister Nalaka Gudaheva says alternative strategies will be utilized to raise funds for the project as the government's treasury will not be able to allocate funds at this crucial juncture. And that was development news.
Sports news.
In cricket news, Sri Lanka Cricket has announced the squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2021, which will be played in UAE and Oman from 17th October to 14th November. The team will be captained by Dasun Shanaka with Dhananjay De Silva as the vice-captain. The squad was selected by the Cricket Selection Committee and approved by the Minister of Youth and Sports Namal Rajapaksa. The squad consists of Kusal Janit Pereira, Dinesh Chandimal, Avishka Fernando, Banuka Rajapaksa, Charit Asalanka, Vanidu Hasranga, Kamidu Mendis, Chamika Karnaratna, Nuan Pradeep, Dushmanta Chamira, Praveen Jayavikrama, Lahiru Madhushankar and Mahesh Deekshana. Reserves include Rahilu Kumara, Binura Fernando, Akila Dhananjay and Pulina Taranga. Meanwhile, the second T20 international night match against the Proteas will get underway at the R. Premdasa Stadium tonight. Sri Lanka need a batting revival to turn the series around. Although several of their bowlers were expensive on Friday, that has recently been their strongest suit. South Africa, bolstered by the return of Quinton de Kock and David Miller, racked up their fifth T20I victory in succession. And that was sports news.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Trade Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that another 100 Sathosa outlets will be opened across the country before the end of this year. The minister said that these steps will be taken to provide essential commodities to the consumers at concessionary prices and to supply them without any shortage. The minister said that the buildings owned by the provincial councils and local government institutions will be acquired for this purpose. He added 25 Sathosa warehouses will also be opened at the district level. And that was business news.
Business News, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
In economic news, the government of Sri Lanka and the World Bank recently signed a $40 million additional financing for the ongoing water supply and sanitation improvement project to increase access to the piped water services and improved sanitation. This additional financing will expand water supply, sanitation and hygiene services in 7 districts, reaching more than 1 million people. The project aims to increase the coverage of piped water by constructing new urban, rural and estate water supply schemes and rehabilitating existing schemes to provide households with a continuous supply of safe water. And that was economic news. Weather report. Met Department predicts several spells of showers in the Sabragamua and Western provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matra districts. A few showers will occur in the northwestern province. Thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Wu and eastern provinces in the evening or at night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Fairly strong gusty winds can be expected in the northern and north-central provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. And that was the weather report. To end this news broadcast, back to the headlines. The Minister of Finance instructs officials to expedite solutions for the people intending to go for overseas employment. A 5-year plan is scheduled to be implemented to uplift the tourism industry. School children will be vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine from next week. The forthcoming budget aims for a production-based economy, Minister assures. All retail liquor shops are closed due to the quarantine curfew, Excise Department says. Foreign news, the UN condemns the Taliban for their increasingly violent response to the opposition. Sports, Sri Lanka Cricket has announced a squad for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. And with that, we end this news broadcast.